All right.
So I think we're live. Hey,
We are live.
we're not where we said we were going to be.
No.
I hope you didn't go that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Super booked out today.
So normally we just fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
And this week we tried to actually plan something.
One time we make a plan.
And
Out the window.
didn't work out.
But we're here.
We're here. We're outside. It's a little bit on the warm side. I think last I saw it's still like in the 90s.
Yeah, I feel like it.
So it's tips from the bar. We're at Ricochet. I don't know. Oh, you can't see. I don't have a sign here.
No.
Ricochet.
Goes right up there.
The sun is like, we were fortunate. There's one umbrella.
We got the one umbrella.
The sun is low enough that we had to, it's like almost in the street in order to get the shadow to land anywhere near the table that we're on. We're using a different setup today. Thank you.
Yep.
We're trying to a little bit more, because I thought we were going to be in a more compact space. So hopefully the picture quality is good. Hopefully the audio should be as good as it normally is, because we're doing the audio the same. So what am I trying to do? I forgot what I'm doing. Oh, I was going on Facebook and we're going to write a little note. But anyway, we're here. Isaac, myself.
That's right. We are CCSK Law.
I'm RG, I guess. Isaac,
RG.
myself isn't actually my name.
That's
Kind of confusing. So a little rattled. I was already, as I was explaining to Isaac, and I won't go into detail. But let me just say this. Anybody who thinks the healthcare system works, I've got a conversation I'd like to have with you. So where we are is Ricochet. We do this Tuesdays, 6:30ish, and we talk about things that are going on in the law. I got a couple things I was going to share because that have popped up. I don't know if you have some things. But one of the things that I've bumped into several times in the last couple of weeks is insurability of cars and houses and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So one of the big deals that you need to take into account when you're dealing with insurance in a house, the best policy you're going to get, if you can even get it another way, is to have it in the name of an individual, ideally living in the property.
Sure.
There are situations where one recent situation was I had an opportunity to put a house in trust, and it was a first party trust, so it's not quite the same thing as a revocable trust. That's a whole other animal, but it's still confusing for insurance companies, and they're finding ways to make it more confusing. So
insurance,
if we would have put it in the trust, one insurance company wouldn't even have given it a policy.
Okay.
Another insurance company wanted to charge 75% more, whereas the individual, it would have cost them, let's say it's $800 a year. If we would have put it in the trust and they would have put a policy together, we would have had to pay 13 and change, like close to $1,400. Same house.
Yeah.
Basically the same policy, but because it was not in the person who was living their name. But the simple fix, I titled it in the person's name and we did some back-end planning on it.
Yeah.
So in that situation, we were able to save it. So go ahead.
Which I will just throw a tidbit in there. When it comes to insurance, and if this is for your company, if you are getting an insurance policy on your business building, having it in your personal name does not pierce the corporate veil.
Really?
It does not.
Why is that?
Let me first explain what the corporate veil is.
Right.
So when you set up whether it's an LLC, a limited liability company, or a corporation, which also provides you that limited liability, basically your personal assets are protected. You have this veil, this corporate veil is what they call it. That is protecting your personal assets, so your home, your car, your Beanie Baby collection, all of that's safe, right? And so if somebody were to sue, they're suing this separate entity, this corporation or LLC that you set up. And you can point at them and say, no, you're suing them. But if you pierce that veil, if you commingle assets, if you just treat that company as your personal bank account, if you don't follow
Who would do that?
I know, right? Who would possibly do that? If you don't follow the corporate formalities, you don't have, with a corporation, you don't have bylaws or a shareholder agreement. If you're an LLC, you don't have what's called an operating agreement. You're not keeping meeting minutes. Then what I always say is that if you want a court to respect that as a separate entity, you have to respect that as a separate entity.
Right.
Treat it as that company hiring you. So a big worry that comes about with a lot of clients, well, if I get an insurance policy in my personal name, am I piercing the corporate veil? Does that make me then personally liable because I'm technically getting a business asset in my personal name? No, it's not. There's a specific exclusion that it's okay to have insurance policies to cover your business in your personal name, and that's all right.
That's interesting because I would have never thought to ask because of that corporate veil issue.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I bump into a lot with property dealing in probate is if you have a vacant property, and vacant doesn't mean it's been abandoned.
Right.
It means that no one is residing there.
Currently, not. Yeah, which happens.
So in that situation, you need to let the insurance company know, because if you don't, your basic home policy will not be enough if a fire happens. And it's a loophole that the insurance companies then can leverage to not pay the claim.
There's a lot of loopholes. And
there's a legitimate reason for let me say this, it's just going to cost you more to have that policy.
Yeah.
So that's the reality of it. But there are higher risks if somebody's not in the house.
Somebody could be theft.
It's easier.
And lighting a fire.
There could be a fire that could have been put out. There could have been, a pipe that broke that someone would have caught before it ran for 4 days. Or again, an empty house is an easy target for
hooligans,
or whatever.
Rapscallions,
right?
Shenanigans.
What was the second one you said?
Rapscallions.
Is that an R-A-P?
Yeah.
Rapscallions.
Yes.
Really?
Got to watch out for them. They'll burn down your house.
That is, I don't think I've ever heard that word. Can you give me the origin?
The origin.
Let's play the spelling bee.
That's right.
Can you use it in a sentence? Oh, you already did use it in a sentence.
Yeah, I did. The rapscallions will burn down your house with their shenanigans.
Right. There you go. Those shenanigans will get you every time.
They will.
We got a letter from the dean when I was at Purdue. And what did it say? I think shenanigans was one, but there was another one, tomfoolery.
Oh, tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery. We will not stand for that kind of tomfoolery. So if you didn't think you were already getting mocked by students,
that's right.
That letter certainly wasn't going to raise your stats. Barbara says hi.
Oh, hey.
So my mom's watching too, down in Lafayette. So big coverage here.
Oh, so, hold on. Let me clarify. I just winked at the camera to Barbara. I did not wink to RG's
You're
mom.
not winking at my mom?
I did not. I mean,
all right.
She's welcome to have a wink if she'd like a wink. But,
sure.
But I don't want Barbara to get too jealous.
Right. So, and where's Barb? So we know my mom's in Lafayette. Where's Barb?
Barbara, actually.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. She was at, we were at the Lake Station Parade. We just got done viewing that, and I drove back over here.
Oh.
Through all the traffic.
Is it a 4th of July?
4th of July. On the 3rd. Yep.
A 4th of July pre-parade.
That's right.
4th of July Eve parade.
It was fantastic. You had all the police, the firemen, marching band out there, gymnastics, karate, whole lineup. It was fantastic.
You're like lost in a glare. I'm trying to figure out how to.
Oh,
there's too much delay. I can't actually tell if I'm doing something. I'm looking here thinking
the sun is like coming right in on me.
Yeah. It's on the window right above your head. You have a halo. Is what it is.
I do. Well, I mean, when I give insurance advice, it's
right.
Did
I not
resonates?
No, I guess you're okay. We'll live it out.
Yeah.
So the other thing that came up was I have this happen in probates as well. Someone says, "Well, can I use the car?" Well, the car is still owned by a person. The person is dead. Unfortunately, that's why we have probate.
Right.
And you cannot just start driving the car.
No.
And there's zero insurance coverage you can get, and it's not covered by insurance anymore.
Yep.
Because the person can't give permission for you to drive that car. You could say the ghost came and said it was okay. I'm not sure that's going to hold up.
An apparition came to me.
Spoke to me.
Yes.
But that's not going to hold up. So in that situation, there's some things you can do to transfer the title to a person. You can't do, if you're in a probate situation, you have to be careful about doing that because it might disrupt the probate apple cart.
Right.
You can't give away assets until you know it's time to give away assets and that it's the appropriate person, the appropriate asset, so there's different things that run into that. The
By the
other
way,
thing,
the probate apple cart is not legal mumbo jumbo. It's just a clever euphemism, metaphor there.
yeah. So the legal apple cart, the probate apple cart.
The probate apple cart.
I have been associated with many probates where the apple cart is turned over, and it's like apples going all over the place. Right?
You've also been a part where the cart has no apples in it, but everybody's fighting over the cart.
Everybody's fighting over the
empty
belief that there's
belief that there's apples in
despite the fact that they can't see apples in the cart.
No apples in the
cart.
cart.
That I have written there's no apples in the cart, and that there are other people lined up ahead of them.
Multiple people lined up
claim them before
if there
they
were
could get
apples.
apples.
Yeah.
So if we discover an apple, you're still not going to see it.
I mean, you just say, "How do you like them apples?"
Exactly. How do you like them apples? Marv Albert used to say on Tony Kornheiser's show. That's what he would say. So in a probate, if you get into an accident, you're driving a car. You are going to be, when you talk about personal liability, there is nobody getting between you and whoever wants to sue you if something breaks bad.
No.
The other situation that came up recently was the situation that arose where a person was going to drive a car owned by someone else, but they wanted to be the primary driver on. It was an agreement between everybody.
Okay, yeah.
But how do you insure it? Because if it's going to be an extension of that car, now most insurance policies will let you say, Isaac, if you need to borrow my car, you're going to be okay.
Sure.
Driver's going to cover, my policy, some place is going to cover.
Yeah.
But in a situation where it's going to be a longer term situation, then there's one of two options. And it's funny because I gave this person this advice, and then their insurance person said virtually the same thing, and I'm like, kind of right. I said, affirmation, baby.
That's
the one thing you can do is add that driver to the other policy.
Okay.
So I'm I have a car, I want B to use it.
Yep.
I want to keep the car, but I'm going to let B use it for as long as B needs it. I can add B as a driver on my policy and contact my insurance company. It may affect my policy.
Yeah.
Depending on if it's a 16-year-old, it's definitely going to affect my policy.
Yeah.
If it's a 60-year-old, I don't know.
What qualifies as what would you think would be the long term? What's long term? Is it a couple days? Is it a couple months?
I would say if you're taking it beyond the city where it's listed, that would be one
geography.
Thing. Geography might do it.
That's smart. Geography.
And I would also say, and this would be probably harder to pin down, but if you if it's 3 weeks later, and the other person hasn't even heard from you, hasn't continued to grant permission,
I'm with you.
I would say those would be situations where you start to get into in jeopardy. And I think the other problem you bump into at that point, let's say you get into an accident, what do you have to give the other person or the officer? Registration. Oh, by the way, your name's not on the registration.
Nope.
Your insurance.
Right.
That insurance is not for that car.
Not.
So, or you may not even carry insurance.
Hopefully, you have
because you didn't have another car, right?
Yeah,
so that's where it might begin to escalate. So you have the opportunity to add the person as a driver, and then that's one. Now, again, that's going to affect your policy. If they have a wreck, that's going to affect you.
Yep.
So there's your exposure there. The other workaround, in the situation I recommended to the person I was talking to, was that you add the person as a joint owner of the car. Oh. Then that person can go get their own insurance policy because their name's on the title. Title doesn't have to be only in that person's name.
Right.
You could have 5 people on the car, and if each had to get their own insurance policy, their name's on the car.
Well, then now let me I
wouldn't really recommend having 5 people with 5 policies. Just the one person's going to buy the policy.
Now, if we joint title it though, and then so let's say I have a car, RG's going to be using it, so I joint title it for you,
right?
And then I pass away. What happens?
I get the car.
You get the car,
right? So that's also a good strategy if you want it to end up someplace.
Did it have to go through probate?
No,
it did not.
Because it's joint. So you protect it that way. Yep. You allow the person to get their own policy. You protect your own policy. Now, the only other risk is if you're in a situation where, let's say, the person you loaned the car to got divorced. They have a position in the car that could be argued. There's value in. That wasn't the situation here.
Yeah.
So that's Again, I always try to tell people all the broad things, and I'm not trying to create doom and gloom, but it is important for everybody to understand that there are circumstances. Oh, I forgot my phone shuts off now. There are circumstances where you'll want to just know what your exposures are.
Yeah.
I'd rather give people information to process than they come back later and go, hey, wait, you didn't mention this.
Right. We try to give you all the information we can in simple terms as much as we can.
Right. And give clear options. I think it was neat to see the way the insurance, because I verbally said it.
Right.
And then I read the insurance person's evaluation of it, and I felt I said the same thing, but did it register the same way? Who knows? I hope so, but that's important to know.
And so I literally am insurance licensed for life, health, and disability.
Okay.
But I do not sell it because I believe in a team approach, especially with like your business, right? You should have a good insurance person, along with a good accountant, along with a good financial advisor, a good banker, and then your attorney, right? So that there's a team of professionals there to help you. I don't sell the insurance. I don't push it. It helps me understand when you fund something like a buy-sell agreement. And I can also have communication with the insurance guy on specific topics. I have the general understanding. Now, one of the things that comes about, that's another exclusion that's important for business owners to know, or either any independent contractor, whether you're an independent contractor just doing deliveries for someone, where you are your own business because you're an independent contractor, or whether you're a business owner, when you are driving your personal vehicle for business purposes, your private insurance is not going to cover that unless you specifically have a rider that says that. But your personal insurance policy is not going to cover it. There's no personal insurance companies that that's going to cover commercial use of your vehicle, which means if you're on the way to an appointment or to see a client or to install something or to deliver a sandwich, and you're an independent contractor or a business owner, you need a very specific commercial policy or a rider. A rider is something that just tacks on to a normal policy, saying, okay, well, we're going to tack it onto this policy.
Right.
You need that in place before you should be driving your vehicle for commercial purposes. Sometimes I'll get the question, should I put the vehicle into the business? Now, that can be a double-edged sword. It can help with taxes sometimes because you can get depreciation on it, which is a great way if you're making too much money, the best problem, making too much money, that you can offset that by depreciating the asset. Basically, the vehicle, over a certain span of time, you get to take a reduced value in it because that asset's declining in value, and you get to take that as a tax deduction. Definitely something you want to run by your accountant. For the liability purposes, anything that's in that LLC, someone can get to that if they sue you. So let's say that someone sues you because you installed something incorrectly. Well, technically, they can get to that vehicle if it's in the name of the company.
Okay.
Alternatively, let's say you're just using that vehicle for commercial purposes, then it might be a good idea to put that in there just in case there is an accident or something like that, where maybe you just have the commercial policy on the vehicle, or maybe you are lending that vehicle out to other people working for you. Yeah. Get the commercial policy, and you can have that in the company's name to protect those other drivers and protect yourself personally. So it really is a case-by-case situation where you determine for taxes, for insurance, and for liability purposes of whether it's a good idea to have that vehicle in the company. But regardless, if you're using a vehicle for commercial purposes, whether it's your personal or in the company, you got to have insurance on it. Right, you have to have some kind of commercial policy or a commercial rider if it is a actual personal car that you're using for business purposes.
One of the things that's also come up recently, and I got a notice from my insurance company at the tail end of last year for the policy starting this year, and that is something that's become very popular, which is this rideshare stuff. Uber, Lyft, and so it would seem that I am not really a taxi cab driver. I don't have a chauffeur's license.
Right.
I'm just driving my car and I happen to pick somebody up, and I'm taking them someplace they want to go.
Yeah.
So I'm still personally using my car, right?
Yeah.
They decide to pay me. Okay, that's great. My policy came with a note that said, if you participate in this type of ride-sharing thing, your insurance policy will not cover it as it is. You needed to add a rider. And again, that's something that maybe you could miss. It's fine print. It's a
Yep.
extra sheet, and you get into an accident, find out that you're on the road transporting someone.
Yep.
And your insurance company may not cover the accident.
Right.
And Uber's not going to cover it, or Lyft's
No.
not going to cover it, because you're an independent contractor
Yes,
from
you
their
are.
perspective. So
You're not an employee.
right.
That's to say, you're not an employee. You're not getting W-2. You're not getting a paycheck like that. You're
Right.
not salaried. No, you're an independent contractor, which technically makes you your own business owner.
Right.
But that also means that you're the one responsible and on the hook. Need that insurance policy for that.
Which also, by the way, means you're supposed to report those taxes and such. And
You're responsible for the
all
taxes.
that other
Exactly.
stuff,
Uber's
right.
not withholding taxes to pay the government for
Right.
you.
You have to report
No.
it as income.
If you have made over $600 that year.
But going back to that, you can also deduct the mileage and stuff like that as well. So it gets to be, it's a little bit more complicated than probably what most people realize.
Oh yeah.
But that was one of those things that was, again, what's insurance going to cover, what's it not going to cover, and how long, how many situations did it take for them to go, hey, you know what, we're going to isolate that and call it a need for a separate rider before they, how many did they accept before they finally looked behind the curtain and said, gosh, we got a lot of people with extra people in the car and they're having an accident. So, and the other problem is, what's your liability going to cover if you get an accident, the person you're riding with gets hurt,
right?
So you may double dent your insurance.
Yep.
So just, again, beware. Insurance is, again, nothing against insurance people, but because actually most of the people you work with don't write the policies, they're selling policies.
Exactly.
But those things are getting written very, very narrowly for the benefit of the insurance company.
Yep.
Anything that the insurance company can do to reduce its payout, draw out its payout, it's going to do. It's business.
Yep.
I mean, that's what's we're going. And if you saw the movie, Now You See Me, you remember when they struck back because they refused pay. I'm not going to call everybody Michael Caine's character, but some of the joy of being outside.
That's right.
But that is the hoops and hurdles you sometimes have to jump through to get coverage that would otherwise be there.
I will say that I know some great insurance agents.
Again, they don't write policies.
Exactly. And even the ones that do, there are still policies out there. I'll tell you one thing that I would love to start one day is something called a captive insurance company, which for businesses is definitely something you want to know about if you are entering, if you start reaching a certain size.
Okay.
You have to be pretty big to get a captive insurance company. I'm just super excited to launch one day. I wrote like a 50-page paper on this stuff.
Okay.
Captive insurance company is not the same as what's called a captive agency, which in the insurance, people often know a captive agency is like State Farm. It is. I know. I get excited about this stuff.
He does.
But a captive agency just means that the agent has to sell their particular insurance. Like State Farm, and State Farm insurance has to sell State Farm. Right, so the State Farm agent has to sell State Farm insurance, versus an independent agent who could sell anything they want. They don't have to sell anything in particular, as long as they're in a relationship with any of these particular insurance companies. And we know some good on both sides, captive and independent. There's good on both sides, I guarantee it. The captive insurance company is something where a business will create an insurance company to insure itself. So it's dedicated to itself and maybe a few other businesses within the industry.
Is it self-funded?
It's self-funded, but it's not but it is a actual insurance underwriting company.
So, but did they literally cover all their expenses and payouts with money of themselves, or are they buying another? They're buying another like sort of umbrella policy to cover anything that actually claims out.
It's not reinsurance. They're not buying insurance to reinsurance. No, this is actually funded themselves. Where they I know it sounds sketchy, but the best
Purdue is that way.
Yeah,
Purdue self-funded a large portion of its health insurance coverage.
There you go.
And then it had a cap where it was kind of actually the early catastrophic plan approach.
Yeah,
like we're going to pool a whole bunch of money to cover the incidental things like a doctor's visit, this, that, and the other. But now somebody goes in and they have open heart surgery. They've got a rollover plan that's going to pick up the coverage and pay them out on that. So
perfect example.
It's right, but I mean, again, now you're talking about, we're 10,000 people that are contributing to that.
Yep. You have to be pretty decent size to be ripe for that kind of.
We don't have the office space for 10,000 people.
We do not. But
don't see that happening too soon. But who knows? Maybe you never know.
Yeah. Well, work on it. Like I said, I'm super excited to work on one of those one day.
Yeah.
But regardless, the insurance company, the captive insurance company that you set up, really, when you were funding yourself as an actual insurance, I mean, it is a completely separate entity, which comes with its benefits and its own downfalls.
Sure.
But you often use that to handle risks that a normal insurer won't. You complement your normal insurance. So let's say that you're in a flood zone.
Okay.
So maybe
I'm in a flood zone.
You're in a flood zone.
That's what you told me to say.
That's it. This guy. I love this guy. That's how he plays along, right? So you're in a flood zone with your business,
right?
And the insurance either only will cover a little bit or none at all, or has a huge deductible.
Right.
Well, what you can do then is get a captive insurance company that then either covers anything it won't cover, or even that deductible, or both.
Okay.
Right. It complements the commercial insurance that you can get, or something that they won't cover at all. But
would it be? You talk about a company that may be involved in high risk stuff. I mean, would that make sense to do something like that?
Very much so, because you guarantee something that is high risk. That's
because your premium cost on high risk insurance is just going to be staggering.
Now, I don't know this for sure, but I'm listening to NPR on the way over, where they're talking about these 13 children that were found in a cave,
right,
down in Thailand, right? And then these cave rescuers went down to help them,
right.
I don't know what insurance company would cover these cave rescuers.
Right.
Maybe there is one, maybe so, but
suffice to say, if you were in a position where someone like people who have contracts with employers, let's say a football player, a football player who participated in cave diving,
right,
is probably going to have his contract nullified because he voided his contract. So yeah, there's all sorts of these things. So and again, it's because the risk is so high, we couldn't insure against it.
Yep.
So it can be messy.
You still have to do reasonable what are called like the actuarial tables, which is how they measure the risk. You have to have reasonable risk assessment done to value how much you should be putting into this and the premiums. But even so, you're still covering something that no one else would.
Right.
So sometimes you are really grabbing out of the air what you possibly can cover.
Taking a shot and hoping that it covers it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the premise basically, you kind of wrap it up, that it's very important to have a good relationship with your insurance company.
Very much so.
Know what you need covered. Ask questions if you don't know. And I think, again, as things shift, we had a child that turned 16, got her license, wasn't driving, we didn't have a car. But if she did want to use that, then would that be an issue? How would it be covered? So just be aware of what a change in your circumstances might cause. Change in age, change in driving habits, change in your house. If you added on, what's that do to your policy? If you start working out of your house, what's that do to your policy? There's all these riders for higher value. It doesn't hurt to ask.
Right.
There's a lot of push right now into some of the data breach stuff.
Data breach and cybersecurity
and your identity protection. Mm-hmm. It may seem like, that if you go back 5 years, maybe that didn't seem like a big deal. It's a big deal. Yeah. So those are little things that you can easily add on. Maybe it's a couple of bucks more a month, whatever. I can't even begin to tell you.
It depends what kind of what you're in.
Yeah, understand what it is. And as we always talk, we want people to understand what their options are, give them the information so they can make an informed decision.
That's right.
I'm going to choose not to do that, but not because I didn't know. I mean, I heard, I thought, I weighed the values, and I said I didn't need it.
Yep.
So just, be sure you know what's covered. It's not an easy read. I'm not saying you have to sit down and read your policy. Have your insurance person explain it to you. Understand what's covered, what's not. If you do get really bored one night, can't sleep, and you need to read that, that's good reading.
It'll help you sleep. Yeah.
But it is not easy, but it is really important. Just be very aware of what's happening and what you need to know. And again, we're believers in teams. We're not insurance salesmen. We're not getting any bounce back from people who are.
Nope.
We just know it's important to have those bases covered. And there's people that study this stuff every day, and they're living it every day. and they can much better address those questions that are specific to you. So we'd encourage you. But again, it's going to be important to know. Again, it bumped up in my situation with some of the probate stuff I deal with, and some of the people are going through different situations where, mom may be moving someplace, or a car maybe that go in this direction. It's important to think through the whole, talk to somebody about all the options, just so you understand.
Well, certainly, but we can help guide that process.
Right.
We're never going to pretend to be the insurance agent.
Right.
We're never going to pretend to be the financial advisor.
We don't even play one on TV.
No, we don't. And if we ever did,
even if we stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, we still wouldn't come back and say, "I'm now going to tell you about your insurance stuff." It's too confusing.
It is.
I actually tried to study for that exam you had to take to get your life.
It's 40 hours.
It's good. It's good information to know. Again, from my perspective, but I just decided it was more in order to keep up with it. It wasn't going to be. I wasn't going to be properly representing what people needed.
Right.
My focus is over on, building boxes.
There you go. This past April, I had to renew my insurance license.
And you did.
I did. Again, I don't get kickbacks. I don't get anything like that. It helps me stay up to date with with what insurance can cover.
Right.
Because when I'm naming off my top 5 ways to limit your liability.
Right. You do that. You have a video out there.
I do have a whole video on that, right?
Maybe later you can put it in the comments so people can find the link to your YouTube video about how to limit liability.
I'll put that in there. The link
See
right over there. See below. But it's really helps us understand to think outside the law, because there is more than just law to protect you.
Right.
There is insurance.
Right.
There is hedging your risk with investments. There's a lot you can do with regard to just common sense. Common sense goes a long way with this.
Does that still exist?
I believe that we can. There's still clients out there that come to me and I say, yes, this is the type of client I want to work with, because they come to me and they say, you know what, I'm thinking about doing this. What should I do? Yeah. Not the ones who come to me and say, oh, no, I've done this. Now what do I do? Right. But that shows common sense. When they come to me and they say, you know what, this is legalese. Maybe I should have my attorney look at it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you.
We'll help you through it.
Thank you.
We'll help you
Yes.
through
More
it.
than happy to.
Yeah. So anyway, well, thanks. I think we got started a little bit late, but we made up for it on the backside.
That's right. So we're CCSK Law.
You can always find us at CCSKLaw.com. There's a form right there you can fill out and drop your question to us. Mm-hmm. We all get it pretty quickly, and we can respond if it's something that we're able to do, or we can point you in a direction. Like I had a call today. There's somebody that had a litigated trust challenge, and while I probably could have taken it on, I know there's somebody better.
Yeah.
And I would rather at least give them an opportunity to talk to somebody who can better address that. So, again, we do what we do. We know what we do, and we know also when to bring in other partners on things. So, again, CCSKLaw.com. Visit us, and we have a lot of good information there, maybe a video or two about different things, as well as other information that you might find valuable. And always drop us a question or phone number you can find there too.
That's right. Or you can post here on the video.
You can always leave a comment here or even on our Facebook page.
That's right.
And we do check those fairly regularly.
Yeah.
Probably not as much as we probably should.
We get notifications and such.
Oh, that's true. We do. But then you have to get on Facebook and check those things. I'm not necessarily good at that. But anyway, great. Have a happy 4th. Be careful.
That's right.
There's a whole nother set of conversation about laws about
fireworks.
We could
have spent an hour or two on just liability and fireworks. But
really, there's always that question of what kind of fireworks can you have? Where can you use them? And I will tell you I wouldn't even begin to try to address that, because there was state stuff that went on, and then cities took on stuff, and it was a moving target. I don't know if there's a fireworks lobby out there, but
I guarantee there is.
Somebody's lobbying for
something.
But anyway, be careful, be safe.
Use that common sense that we
Common sense, don't try to shoot a bottle rocket out of your mouth or other places. And be safe. Join us next Tuesday. Don't know where we'll be.
I'd have to check. I'll release it. I'm releasing a schedule. We have the places listed out.
I want to say
for
it's
the tour.
Yachts.
I think Yachts. I think we're shooting for Yachts.
Yeah, we're getting out of downtown. This will be a big move for us.
We're moving.
I think we're going to Yachts next week and
going on our tour.
Still on Lincoln Way. Well, we're not on, but still on Lincoln Way. We're still in Valparaiso.
Yep, just not the downtown one, but a few blocks over. But this tour, I'm telling you, this tour has all over the place. We're going to be even outside of Valparaiso.
Yeah.
So look for that.
So yeah, we'll promote it. And if you want to stop by and ask a question in person, or just kind of join the peanut gallery that walks by, feel free to do that.
We probably had a whole gaggle over there at Don
Yeah,
Quixote
exactly.
tonight.
Oh yeah, they were packed out.
All asking.
So we survived the heat. Sun went behind the clouds or behind
That's
the trees. So
So
the
stay
glare,
cool,
your
stay
halo
safe.
has gone away.
My halo's gone away. I was done talking
Is there a
about
song,
that.
Halo?
Yeah, there is. I couldn't tell you who it's by, but I think there's more than one song called Halo, and they're all about me. I know
My
it.
friends at Red Umbrella did a cover of that song, and it was phenomenal. One of my favorite bands of all time.
So we got two things we need to
together.
post. We need to post one about.
I'm gonna put a link to Red Umbrella's cover of Halo.
There we go. I'll
Was
post.
it Beyonce?
Yeah, there's something. It might have been. Might have been.
Dennis and Jeremy killed it. They were awesome. It's a YouTube video.
It's a good
If
song.
you're seeing this, and I haven't put the link up yet. YouTube Red Umbrella Halo. Search YouTube, I should say.
Yep.
It is awesome.
And if you're intrigued about my non-musical video, top 5 ways to limit your liability.
Yeah. There's that too.
That's type in CCSK Law, Isaac Carr, top 5 ways to limit your liability. Yeah,
Right.
you'll find it there, but that's until I put it into the comments.
The comment section. Awesome sauce.
But Halo might be a little bit more entertaining. We'll see.
It's very entertaining. They did an awesome version of Justin Bieber song too. Bieber.
Justin Bieber.
I'm so hip with the kids. Justin Bieber.
You mean those rapscallions?
Oh man, exactly. Now you're making me hungry for the Rathskeller. That's what I heard when you said it. I have to go down to India and visit the Rathskeller for some Wiener Schnitzel.
There you go. There's another tip. That's a tip for today.
Tips for another bar.
For another bar.
Yeah. So anyway, well, thanks for watching, and always feel free. I got to reach. We're doing a different thing tonight. So anyway, have a great evening. There it goes. Oops, wait, not yet.
Mm-hmm.